I can make my dream. Ooh, this video has 997 views on it.
I'll watch it 3 times tonight. I got you.
Thank you. Should entrepreneurs get therapy? Yes. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. In this video, I want to share with you one of the biggest growth hacks of my life. And yes, that is therapy, but also something I never thought I'd do, psychedelic therapy. One of my favorite quotes is, if you don't have the business you want, it's because you haven't become the person who can run it yet. And another favorite is, your business can only grow to the level you do. And I love those quotes because it takes the spotlight away from the business itself and shines it on you to stay accountable for your own personal growth so that you can become the type of leader that your business needs. Entrepreneurs are evolutionary beings, and we're on a journey of constant growth. And that doesn't only mean business growth. It means that we as entrepreneurs need to evolve as people to grow spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Honestly, therapy and healing and growth is one of the key things that I talk about as an entrepreneur. It's one of my favorite topics that I could go on and on and on about. I have discussions over dinner for hours with fellow entrepreneurs on this subject, but I want to hone in on 3 key points in this video so that I don't talk for hours and hours. But if you do ever meet me in person, let's talk. The first point is, we don't have business problems, we have me problems. The beginning of our journey as entrepreneurs are quite similar. We start off recognizing our superpower, so to say, and we kick off our business. We do all the things, we get the momentum, and we start making things happen. It's exhilarating, and many of us wonder why we didn't start earlier. And then in the process of this, we start to kind of burn out, or things start to bubble up, whether that's past traumas and triggers that we didn't know we had, and it starts to get really uncomfortable. Not because there's anything wrong with the business itself, but that spotlight begins to shine on us and reveal some really uncomfortable things. Imposter syndrome, insecurities, feeling like you're not enough. And if you don't feel worthy, you might hesitate to maybe charge what you're worth. If you don't feel like you're enough just as you are, you might not be able to show up on camera or on social media. If somewhere along the way you were invalidated, you might not believe in your own message or a story that you're trying to spread. Personally, I made my first $1 million in my business from the place of needing external validation. I was driven by external validation. I got my entire self-worth from my business, my relationships, the amount of money that I made. And oh boy, when I did make that first $1 million and I started to realize where that need for validation came from, I knew that what got me here won't get me there. To get to the next level of my business, I needed to work on myself and shift in my identity, how I defined myself. The second point I want to touch on, and this is one of the toughest things that I personally had to deal with, is that as you grow, you might lose the people closest to you. For me, I had some periods where my growth landed on their wounds. There are some people in your life that you would have never expected that may turn their back on you or turn against you. And it hurts. And that may mean saying goodbye to some friendships that once meant the world to you, but you grew apart, grew different directions. The most important thing is that you don't stay where you are to keep those people in your life. They either evolve with you or you have to be willing to let them go. On the other side of that, as you evolve and your business grows, you're going to attract people who are also evolving with you. And these are the people who are going to be with you on that next level of your journey, whether they're new mentors or they're friends who are journeying beside you. You will lose people, but you'll also meet new people along the way. And each level is a constant balance of letting go. I love thinking about the phrase, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It really makes me think and assess, who are the people that I surround myself with? Are they calling me up? Are they encouraging me to grow? Are they also calling me out on areas that I might be playing small? I want that in my life. And it also calls to me to give my best. What do I bring to the table for the 5 people that I spend the most time with? Am I contributing? Am I serving? Am I encouraging them to call themselves up? I know for myself, I do not want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to be near people who encourage me and can also lovingly push me into more growth. The third point I want to talk about is psychedelics as a form of therapy. So when we talk about therapy, we usually think about conventional forms of therapy, but therapy looks different for everyone. And of course it does, because no human being is the same. Everyone needs different things to heal and grow. Therapy for you could look like the conventional type, or spiritual therapy, cognitive therapy, life regression therapy, energy therapy. There are so many out there, just naming a few. Finding the right one might be a series of trial and error, but definitely keep an open mind, do your research, talk to people who've done it. For myself, I was going to therapy, conventional type of therapy, 3 times a week, and I found myself crying to my therapist about the same things. This was a period in my life shortly after my divorce where I was just looping, believing that I was unlovable, trying to prove myself and trying to figure out, what do I have to do to be good enough, to be worthy, for someone to love me again. I felt really rejected by a previous relationship. I had a lot of pressure to redefine myself after my divorce, especially understanding now that I was defining myself by my relationships and finding my self-worth in relationships and my business that had changed so much in that year. Even though I knew logically that of course I'm worthy and lovable and I'm just going through a tough time, I could not integrate it emotionally no matter how much therapy I went for. And I knew that I was looping on the same things. I myself was sick of repeating the voice that was going on in my head. So a friend of mine recommended psychedelic therapy. He said, hey, why don't you come out to, it was a different city that I went to, and it's kind of underground at the time. There's this nurse here that was registered and certified to do it. And for me, I was terrified at first. I had never done drugs in my life. Not that psychedelic therapy is a drug, but just, on the street, when you think of things like MDMA therapy, which on the street is Marley, it was scary to me. I'd never done it before. I didn't know if I was going to lose control. But at this point in my life, I was so desperate that I did a ton of research. I watched a lot of documentaries. I studied as much as I could to really understand it and make a decision based on that knowledge. And finally, I agreed to it. I said, I didn't want to live like this anymore. I was kind of at a point of desperation. So I said, okay, let's do it. And it changed my life. It felt like 5 years of therapy in a day. MDMA therapy, what it does chemically is it dumps your serotonin, so it's just all love, and reduces your amygdala. So it removes the ego, it removes the fear, so that I could look back at these different phases of my life with more compassion, a different perspective, by removing the shield that our brains really put up to protect us from the trauma. I was able to lift that and see it from a new point of view. And I was able to look at the patterns in my life of the codependent relationships I had, whether that was my marriage, my in-laws, my previous friendships, bosses that I had, the mean girls in high school, even all the way back down to how I was raised, like with my parents and my grandparents and just the close relationships around me, to understand that who I am today was of course shaped by such early childhood experiences, which normally we don't remember. We just have these stories, these beliefs that we don't know the epistemology, we don't know where it came from. I don't believe that I would have gotten the epiphanies, the life-changing realizations without this psychedelic therapy. I have another video on my channel that I'll link below where I share more of the full story of what came up for me in that first MDMA therapy session, and really more of how it felt, how it worked. And I have some other videos on my channel about some other kind of psychedelic therapies that I've tried, such as psilocybin, ayahuasca. I have some videos on my channel, link that below. Before I did my research, I had the wrong perception about psychedelics. I was totally afraid of it. When you see it as a drug and you're using it in the wrong set and setting, that's not an opportunity for healing. But when it's done in a safe and controlled environment and to be used as a tool for this incredible form of therapy, when I opened myself up to the experience of psychedelics, I started having fun in my business again. I was able to change my fuel source in my business from pain. Really, I was coping by working rather than loving and feeling passionate about what I do. I started loving life again. So for me, psychedelics helped remind me that I am already learning and healing through my lived experiences. This isn't a video to try to sell you on psychedelics. I have no benefit to whether you try it or not. I've loved sharing my own experience and how this type of therapy as an entrepreneur has changed my life. It's a great example of opening ourselves up to the unknown and doing things that we never thought we'd do. I found my momentum not by growing my business and coming up with a new strategy or adding a new offer, but by diving into me and making my self-exploration a priority. Because as an entrepreneur, I get that it's easy to put ourselves on the back burner, to tuck away our own needs. But If this one thing could grow your business exponentially and rake in millions for you, would you make it a priority? Your own healing, your own inner discovery, your own spiritual, personal, emotional, mental development. I have a feeling that you would. Thanks for watching, and if you're an entrepreneur considering therapy, I hope you do it for you. Again, I'll link those videos below with some of my personal experiences with different kinds of therapy, and also some of the videos where I share just vulnerably the tough stuff that I was going through, how I got through it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. See you later.